Hi, I'm Leslie Nesbitt. I do sketch comedy.
I'm Sarah Kennedy. I do stand-up comedy.
I am Alex Knight. I'm an improviser.
And we three together are the triple threat of the Goofball Coalition. A triangle, a triforce, a pyramid of comedy. Here we are for you.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Goofball Coalition, the podcast that lives where improv and stand-up collide. And now, here's your hosts, Alex Knight and Sarah Kennedy.
I was trying to make a triangle with my fingers. Sorry, like a pyramid with my fingers. You can make a triangle, no problem.
Oh yeah, you kind of can't make a pyramid.
If you only listen to this podcast, you are missing out on so much visual art being made. So you should definitely watch the video version on YouTube or on Spotify. It's also on video on Spotify.
Nice. Yes.
And the bottom half of my screen is on my OnlyFans.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't that be kind of fun?
It's half of it.
My gentle naked lower half just casually sitting there.
The coffee cup that comes in and out of frame
every once in a while.
As above, so below. You know, like
smash a ball once in a while.
Like, oh, gentle,
the
gentle nature of your. All right. Anywho.
Well, speaking of nudity, Leslie, we're talking about Chicago today, right?
Yes, I want to talk about Chicago because I know you guys. Alex, you went to LA, and Sarah, you went to New York, and I went to Chicago, and I thought it was very interesting of the trifecta of cities, east, west, middle coasts, the middle coast of America, of Chicago, and how they're different or how they're the same.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of questions about Chicago because I've never been. So.
Oh, you've never been?
But I do watch The Bear.
Oh, okay. Then it's no. The one thing, this is not at all comedy, but the one thing the Bear did get right is they went to Pequod's for the deep dish pizza. That's the best one. It might be controversial to some people. But
was there another one? I thought there was like a Maggiani's.
There's Lou Malnati's. There's Giordano's.
Giordano's might be the one that I had that was pretty good.
Yeah. Pequod's.
All three of those sound the same to me. Is that they're different?
Yep.
It's like, you get your ass kicked in Chicago if you have the wrong opinion.
I'm just talking on the internet. I'm not a real person. So nobody comes to me.
Yeah.
Leslie, which is the most prominent of the three crafts in the city of Chicago?
I would say the most prominent is improv.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
I do not hear about stand-up from Chicago. Like, it must exist. There's got to be tons of it there because it's a huge city. But I've never heard of anyone that does well there. I think gets out probably and goes to one of those even bigger choices pretty quick. I would imagine maybe.
Well, yeah. I know that there were a lot of open mics.
Yeah.
Happening there all the time. And a lot of people would do stuff at the Laugh Factory over in the old Chicago.
Yeah.
And my friend, actually, I was a part of this. We would open sometimes for this improv show called Pimprov, which was pimps doing improv because a bunch of pimps went to go to improv class and now they have a show. Right. And so that was the second half of the show. The first half was stand-up.
The characters, right?
They're all characters.
Because it's almost a world where that really happened and it was really good.
Right. It was, honestly, it was the best because they each had their own opening. They would have like a little rap opening. And let me tell you, but the guy that did it, he's a stand-up. And he would sometimes open the show. He would get other stand-ups to open the show. Because stand-up and improv would kind of meld together like that a lot. Because in my theater. And he actually just opened his own stand-up comedy show. It's a theater, not show. A building
dedicated
of stand-up. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so
there's a lot of comedians that came out of Chicago. Like Hannibal Buress is from Chicago, and There's a bunch, but
Yeah, I was about to say like that was stupid to me because like more I would say stand-ups seem like they become like travelers quickly. Like you don't stick in any city really. Like once you become a big stand-up, you're on the move most of the time, and your city of origin almost doesn't matter except as a place of origin, kind of where you like, I don't know, cut your teeth.
one
a
of
little bit.
one of the best comedy clubs in the entire country is the Laughing Tap, and it's in Milwaukee. And it absolutely benefits from how close it is to Chicago because they can pull up anybody, and they bring in some of the best people in the whole country.
Yeah. I know a lot of my friends. I feel like because we also had an open mic at my theater, and I think a lot of them also would travel up to Milwaukee all the time, or Schaumburg, which is not normally mentioned as much as Milwaukee.
Do you guys do you think that the cold bustliness of those cities helps the comedy?
Yes.
Like the cruelness and the I don't know, the like you don't want to be outside, so like come and be in this nice place and like snuggle up. I don't know.
Yeah. I honestly do, because there is a point in that winter, and I don't know if it's true in New York, if it's the same, but like around January, February, and March, everyone does get so depressed
And lonely and like, yeah, you just want to be around people, I imagine.
Yeah, and so there's all kinds of shows all the time that you could just go to. And in Chicago, you're walking everywhere because you just might as well. That's kind of the attitude. Might as well just walk. And so there's theaters on, all corners, and that you could go to shows.
Yeah, where it's at LA, it's like, yeah, you got to get in your car and drive for a fucking half hour and then fucking park. And it's like, it's so nice out, and can I just not? Like, I don't know. I have a feeling that the weather and all of those factors make it much harder to actually get stuff done in LA. And it really does feel like much more of a final step in terms of marketing. Like, come see my show because we need to fill it out so I can get my comedy like, it's not a place to almost like practice your stuff. It's a place where like you got to be almost really good and ready for that final move to like get a producer. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm crazy.
I don't have a lot of the stand-up experience in Chicago, but I know a lot of people in LA where it was always like, I have a friend that does stand-up all the time in LA at like Flappers, and it was always like bringer audiences.
Yeah.
Right. So bring.
And then they have to do their 2 drinks too. Yeah, man. And it's like, yeah, you have to pull teeth kind of.
I went to the Comedy Store once in LA, and I was like, I'm never going back.
Yeah.
Because it was 2 hours of people that each had 5 minutes, and they wouldn't let you leave. They charged you if you left. And it was 2 drink minimum, and I was like, I don't want to come back.
Oh my God, it's like literally a trap. That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's one thing I noticed about LA is they didn't have an idea about the time of they would schedule improv teams 10 minutes at a time, but it would be like a 2-hour show or an hour and a half. And so they were like, what, 7, 8 teams? And you're just like, I can't
where do you stand? Like, where do you hang out before you go on stage? There's no way they have a backstage big enough.
Well, for us, it was just the audience was the other teams.
Yeah.
And that's all. That's like, I mean, like I was at an indie theater. I loved them so much that it was called the Improv Space. But yeah, our audience was mostly just us. It's really hard. I don't think there's tons of audience in LA. There's tourists that will come and see Groundling shows. They'll see Second City shows. Like they'll see named shows. But there's not an audience of people that gives a almost shit about seeing stuff. Kind of everyone's working so much on their own stuff. Whereas I feel like those other 2 cities might have more communities. And again, I can't speak for stand-up. I'm sure there's a vibrant stand-up scene in LA, but like improv was weird. It was like, it really was more about business. All of it seems more about business oriented there.
Yeah. Yeah. And Chicago was like, there was always an audience. And like maybe few times, you would cancel a show because there wasn't anybody there. But like ultimately, I don't know if it was because it was the improv scene or everyone's doing all of the thing. Yes.
I have a question real fast. This is a little tangential, and it applies to everybody real quick. What is the minimum amount of people for a viable show, in your opinion?
your cast, if it's less than the cast, then maybe think about canceling for me. But I mean, say your cast is like 8 people and there's 7. It's just weird. If there's 2 people, don't just send them home.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough because like I did like fringe festivals, and there you're like, we got one. Like, let's do it. We got someone. And that person wants to see a show.
Yeah.
So I think it's more like, because also I've had improv groups where it's like, well, if we want to perform, I'm here. I want to play with you. Then screw them, kind of. But I think business-wise, we have a rule at the show that, our ensemble needs to be matched by the audience. Otherwise, we can call an audible.
Yeah.
But it depends on the mood. Because again, I'm there. I want to have a good time. But what are we worried about? That it's too awkward for the audience, too small, kind of. In improv, we have to get a lot of gets in a short form show. So it's like, sir, you're going to be busy tonight. Yeah. What is your opinion, Sarah?
We've done a show for 4 before, but it's hard with that because it's hard to make them into a crowd. Do you know what I mean? Now all of a sudden you're just performing to 4 individuals. It's a small group. It's not an audience. So
yeah, well, and even going back to not always, but stand up is a little bit more impress me, and improv is a little more like we're building this together. So there can be a little more humble, like you, sir, and us, we're gonna make a show together. Whereas stand up, that one person might be more like, I don't know, challenging. If that makes sense. So like I'm here to like give me something.
Yeah. Make me laugh.
And so like and trying to whip 4 people up into like enough energy for stand-ups to feed upon, because improv we can feed off each other. We can do the show for ourselves, but I think that's probably harder for stand-ups to do the show for each other, even in the audience, kind of.
Yeah, we so 4 was hard, but I like once you get to about 10 or 12, we can make it work. But really, I think a show of 30 people is like so choice. And then
Nice.
I don't know. Then anything above 30 is just like
nice.
That doesn't matter.
I like just that was like seeing like classic car. It's like, ooh, nice. 30?
30.
Ooh, mixed demographic. Ooh, like that. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And this is also tangential. Sorry, I think there's like one of those alarms, missing people alarms going off. Anyway,
an Amber Alert.
Amber Alert. It's fine.
It's not.
What was I going to ask you? So in each of what you guys think, and this isn't really talking about, I guess, stand-up or comedy but the theater scene in each of our cities that we went to, like Chicago versus New York versus like LA. What do you think about? Because I have opinions on LA versus Chicago, but I haven't, I've only visited New York for fun and touristy times and Broadway. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know if there is any theater in New York. I've never really heard of that happening there, but I'm just kidding.
I was like,
I see. Interesting.
No, I was in a play in New York, but we just
I was in an off Broadway,
Yeah, so you can that's the fun thing about New York in general, is that there's just a gazillion different venues or rooms with chairs in it, and so like you can kind of whatever creative thing strikes you can make happen there.
Yeah, I feel like New York has more like actors that want to act and do like weird plays and stuff. Whereas again, LA is more business actors that are trying to like transition into whatever film and TV and stuff. And so, yeah, but I think there's probably more vibrant, weird, cutting edge theater in New York.
Yeah, Chicago actually
quite a bit.
Chicago has a lot of great theater, and it's from small black box theaters to like the Steppenwolf or the Goodman, right? So, and it's people that want to be the actor, like actors.
Yeah, they're acting for the acting.
Steppenwolf, there's a long running show there called "Too Much Light Makes the Baby Go Blind," right? Is that what? Yeah,
that's the one with the envelopes.
Yeah, and so it's like experimental theaters there also. So Chicago has like so much just concentrated yummy goodness. Yeah,
I have a friend who's a dancer in Chicago, and she was choosing between New York and Chicago, and she just really loved the way dance is treated in that city and the way that city is. So she picked Chicago.
Yeah, nice. I love Chicago, and if it wasn't winter,
I mean, again, I go back to, I think that's a big part. Is like, because Chicago doesn't have a lot to offer in terms of that. It's like, what can we curate? We can curate like lots of art and like comfy spaces and warmness in that kind of way. Whereas
right?
LA, it's again like, why would you even want to go inside? Like, why would you want to rehearse a play for hours and hours in the dark room when it's like, yeah, the beach is there.
Yeah, I was in one musical in LA because I needed to be a part of the musical Urinetown.
Yeah.
It was the best one. And so I auditioned for it. And then it was, such a fun time. People I didn't know. We were actually, the musical itself was in like a church, like ballroom. And it was in May and there was not air conditioning. And I was like, I'm so sorry, guys. Could you come see my play? It's hot. But could you please come see my musical?
That was in LA?
Yeah.
And what was that production company? Like, who put that on?
I literally almost said Cardboard Playhouse. It's
just you and a bunch of kids.
Yeah. It's a playhouse. I can't remember what it is. Oh my gosh.
That's right.
Yeah, but it was a playhouse something. But
I mean, I know for sure there is vibrant communities of all these things in all these cities. We can always speak from our like perspectives or whatever. That's all. Right. I was just trying to make sure. I know there's companies there.
Yeah, they usually do like a musical every year, I think. That was the only one I wanted to be in. I don't want to be in any other ones except for Urinetown.
Were there a lot of independent sketch shows there? I know there's, definitely in Chicago, like there's Groundlings and all that. There's a Groundlings there?
Yeah. No, they're only in LA. Yeah.
But did the IO there have a sketch group, or like did they just do improv? Because
they mainly did improv, but they did like writing classes. But that was the guy that also taught at like Second City. So there were a lot of like Second City sketch shows that would kind of go on, or like experimental improv. Sometimes like there was a lot of experimental improv going on, I think. We did do a lot of sketch there. I'm trying to think of where that would have been, because I did a lot of sketch there at my theater. But I know a lot of people, like, obviously people go to Second City to do their sketch and they're improv into sketch. So I think there was, honestly, what I really remember from it is that everything was so experimental. Then there was always a space to put it on. Yeah. And then there was always an audience, which was nice. Right?
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a really fun thing. And then also everything blended too, I would say. Or at least, again, at my theater, we had like stand-up. We had improv there. We did plays. We did sketch, comedy, all this stuff. We just were all just together. Let's do
comedy
this.
Theater.
Yeah, world. Yeah. But they lost their space, so they're now trying to figure out a space. Yeah.
Oh, that hurts my feelings. I hate
that.
Yeah,
my theater lost their space too. So the theater I was at, the improv space in LA in Westwood. So like they had a thing where you need like hearing aids for hearing impaired people at all your shows. And I think we had them, but the person running it didn't know where they were because they're buried in the back because no one actually ever uses them unless some lawyer send someone hard of hearing into your theater specifically to try to sue you to shut you down. And so this guy did this to like 4 or 5 of the independent improv theaters in LA, and then we couldn't pay.
It was one of those things where I was watching it happen on Facebook. Like I was part of whatever Facebook group of comedians from LA, and all of them were like, like each day there'd be like a new. Like,
my theater got hit with this thing and this thing. Yeah, it's so messed up because for sure those laws should exist. We should have those things, and we do have those things.
Accessible,
but to shut down independent comedy theaters to make a little bit of cash is so dark, man. Yeah. That person is definitely getting comedically fucked right now. I'm sure there's no way. But yeah, it's so hard to run a theater. It's no surprise that you're shut down. It's no surprise mine did. It's like,
it was a building issue. There were apartments above it, and the people that bought the building told the people in the apartments that they had to move out, but they never told our theater. So they just like anticipated, because I guess there's a law in commercial, at least in Chicago, you don't really have to tell the commercial thing to move out until a day before or whatever.
Oh.
So they were like, you know what? We're going to just anticipate you having to have us move out.
Mhm.
So we're piecing out. Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know. I know, it was the best time. Yeah, I was just thinking too, like you spoke about Gorilla Tango before. Gorilla Tango moved up to Chicago, and they actually did they had a theater there for a little bit, and they had some sketch comedy there too.
It's fun.
I don't know what's there right now, but
I know they were also doing those fun burlesque shows. They had like Super Mario burlesque and Star Wars burlesque and like
yes.
Yeah.
And they had there was like a drinking show. So it's hard for me to classify it as sketch, right? But it's like a show.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of show is it? Because it's not really improv, but their jokes are written, but it is improv because they're working with the audience. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My favorite kind of show. Yeah. A weird smooshy one.
Yeah, smooshy.
Smoosh.
A lot of it was very smooshy. Oh, I went to see a clown perform. He let us, at the end of it, he let us all out and told us to stand on this platform to yell out our fears into the world. And after everybody did it, we looked around and he just had left. He was gone. It was the best. Like, what?
You don't need me anymore.
You don't need me. It's fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, I love talking about these cultures.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all this with us too. It's so neat to get to find out more about another city where cool stuff happens.
Yeah. I hope it was a good discussion.
I think it was great. Let's go to segment 3, huh?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's
All right. Segment 3, where we plug what we do and we thank our patrons, and sometimes little lingering topics pop up during this part too. So
yeah, any lingering topics?
Ooh, lingering.
Maybe not. No, maybe.
You're a lingerer.
I started reading. Have you guys ever done the morning pages, or have you ever read The Artist Way?
Yes.
It's
halfway
I
through.
know of these things.
They're good. It's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
It's like, I read it in college, and I haven't. Only literally yesterday did I like kind of pull it back out and look at it again, and it's so inspiring and nice. So
What are you working on specifically?
I mean, I like the idea of the discipline that comes with doing the morning pages. So the idea of like every morning, the first thing you do, even before you get coffee, is that you just sit with a pen and a paper and write out just whatever comes out of your brain and your hands for 3 pages. And then you start your day, and it kind of helps you, number one, have the muscle of being able to write and spit stuff out.
Create,
yeah. But then also it kind of empties your brain and gives yourself a chance to kind of like fill it back up with things that then help you be a better artist. And it just kind of is like a nice little healthy purge before you take stuff in. So I just think and so I did it this morning, and I thought it was neat.
I mean, I think, yeah, probably I would assume anyone listening to this podcast is in some way interested in comedy and stuff, which is art. And so it's like, it is all linked. It's all linked. So like any way you can do art, do a drawing, do morning pages, whatever it is, it's like it all feeds into what we are, which is like expression and bravery and confidence in that expression, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good job. Way to work your muscles.
Yeah. That's great. I did half of The Artist's Way.
Oh, nice. That sounds about the real artist's way.
Yeah.
Right? I really tried. I got overwhelmed. This might be like, I don't know, ADHD is talking or whatever, but I got overwhelmed about the size of journal.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
if you're doing a journal, like,
College ruled.
composition, college ruled, 3 pages is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a smaller one, that's
Like a little moleskin.
yeah.
Right.
So what do you do? So I just like got overwhelmed. I love it though.
I need a new notebook. Like, I don't know about yours. Like, mine is just like, it's so scrambled and madness, but it's like, I don't know. I squeeze into every little,
Yes.
like I have 2 of them and they're at their end. I'm like going into corners and trying to find open space. So
You know,
good for us for writing
my
things.
young comedian dream was always to have a notebook like that.
This
wanted a
just an
notebook.
scramble. scramble.
Yeah, that
Stickers on it. Keep it all bent.
Living the dream.
And like, yeah, and I have one, and I love it because I'm like, I did it. I have one.
It's good. It's a good goal.
Yeah.
What do y'all have coming up?
Shows.
Mm.
The
I
show.
bet I'm out of town when this hits. Going out of town for a bit.
Yeah.
See y'all later. Yeah. But besides that, shows Friday and Saturdays 9.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, same. Ours are at 9:30, but same spot, Second and Gold.
Check us
And
out.
thank you to our patrons. Join our Patreon. We'd be thrilled to have you. And
Vote for me.
yeah, go Team Sketch.
Team Sketch.
But that's it for us here at the Goofball Coalition. Thanks for listening.
You can send us in any clips you have. Stand-up clips,
questions.
improv clips,
Yes.
sketch clips.
Questions, clips,
Yes. Questions, anything.
facts.
This is your podcast.
It's for you.
Yeah.
It's all for you, Damien.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Love you.